Welcome back, everyone. We are going to focus on the portrait drawing. Hope everybody will have fun because everybody likes the portrait drawing. This week we are going to focus on the facial planes. It's going to be more like a robot portrait drawing. And then next week we're going to start the facial parts. I'm going to show you how to create the brows, the eyes, nose, and the lips details. In today's video, you really have to draw with me to understand how this facial planes and also the facial proportion works. Before you start the video, please download the handouts that I sent you and make sure that you have these two handouts with you. What I'm going to be showing you today is the frontal and also the 45-degree angle of the robot portrait drawing. This is what we have been doing for the gesture drawing. So we have the cranium, and then you just kind of get this postcard looking rectangular shape in, or you just work on this diagonal, the jawbone shape. And when you look at it from the side views, you work on a bigger cranium, like more like a stretched out oval sphere. And then you just add the front and the jawbone, the jawline, just like this. So we are going to use these ideas and I'm going to show you a little more details for the facial planes today. So we are going to start with this number one ghosting. Alright, so the ghosting, just go ahead and, just like we always do, you don't really have to make it oval shape or anything. We're just going to start with just a regular sphere shape like this. And the next step is to create the cross. This is a really important process because of course not every portrait drawing is in a frontal view. Sometimes it's in a 45-degree angle, sometimes it's looking up, sometimes it's looking down. Everything is different. So this cross is the guideline to find out which way the head is looking at. We're doing the frontal view right now, so we're just gonna create the simple cross. But if the person is looking a 45-degree angle this way, then the cross starts becoming more like this angle. And if the person is looking up this way, then the cross starts becoming more like this angle. Just imagine doing the cross contour drawing, and that will help you to figure out which way the model is looking at. But this one, we're just gonna create the cross. Do the coordination, make sure you move your shoulder, straight line, and the sideways. The next step is to create the temporal line. So the temporal line is this flat side of the head. For the temporal line, this chopping side thing, you don't have to cut most of this ghosting circle, but it's just gonna be just a tiny bit. It's just gonna be a diagonal angle of the line, and you're just gonna kind of chop tiny bit of the ghosting circle shape. So it's just gonna be like this. So just eyeball it, take a look at the handouts, take a look at what I have right here, and make sure the left and right is symmetry. Just like this. Alright, so the next step is to create this 1/3 line. So this is gonna be the generic proportion of the human head. When you look at the frontal view, the human head could be divided into 3 parts equally. So the first part is the hairline to the eyebrow. This is 1/3. And then the eyebrows to the bottom of the nose is 1/3. And it's not the top of the nose or the wing of the nose or anything. It's just the bottom of the nose right here. Eyebrow to the bottom of the nose is 1/3. And then bottom of the nose to the chin is also 1/3. So when you look at the front view, it's gonna be like 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, and that should be equal. Of course, when you look at the baby's face, or somebody who's like in kindergarten, like really young kids, their face is not developed yet, so everything is more squished looking. But when you just draw the adult face, usually it's divided into 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But everybody's different. Everybody has a different face. Everybody has a different proportion. So it doesn't fit into everyone's face. But the idea is to use this basic proportion of human face and you just adjust it to make it fit into your face. Okay, we are going to create the line of the hairline. So the first one, you're gonna just use this diagonal chopped temporal line that we just created, and wherever that meets that ghosting circle, we're just gonna create the side white lines like this, and this is going to be the hairline. So that means this middle line that we created in the beginning, this is gonna be the eyebrow line. And the next part is the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the nose is gonna be the diagonal chopped up line and the ghosting line on the bottom right here. You're gonna create another cross line like this, and this is the bottom of the nose. And the last part is the chin. So the bottom nose, the chin, this is the last 1/3 section. So now you have a unit. So now you're just gonna eyeball it, or you can just use your fingers and just kind of create this 1/3 length and just create the mark for the chin. So this part right here is going to be the chin. This is the draft sketching process, so it doesn't mean that every single face is going to be fitting into this draft sketching, but you're just going to adjust it later to make it fit into your face, model's face, whatever that you're working on. So this is 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. Okay, so the next part is called the glabella, and this is gonna be almost like the center of the face. So the glabella is specifically talking about this triangle shape in between the eyebrows and also this like nasal bone area in between the tear duct. So here, 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 this is called the glabella. The glabella is a really important part of the face because everything kind of starts from here. When you draw the eyebrows, it starts from this diagonal angle of the triangle of the glabella, and you can create the nose from the glabella, and in between the eyebrows and the nose there is the eyeball that just sit in there. So the glabella is almost like doing the center of the face. I've seen a lot of people creating the portrait drawing from the outside, but that just gonna limit your drawing because it just makes you feel like you have to fit everything inside of that circle. So I strongly recommend to create the portrait drawing from the inside, especially this like glabella area. So now we're gonna create the glabella. So the glabella is gonna be right on the brow line, and you just go ahead and create this like triangle shape. I would say it's gonna take probably the 1/3 of this brow line to the bottom of the nose area, and just that's it for the glabella. The next part is to create the brow. So the glabella, you can see the shape, the triangle shape over here, right? And then we have the nasal bone sticking out from here. And the eyebrow, you can actually touch your eyebrow area and you can feel how firm it is because there's just a bone just underneath your skin, and that's this brow ridge of the eye socket right here. So when you look at the eyebrow shape, we all have this beginning and then there's like a little peak over here and it curves down. That's just the shape of the socket, and this is exactly why we have the mountain shape for the eyebrow, because it just goes like, and it goes down like this. Now we are going to create just a line of the brow, and when it goes to this diagonal shape that we created, just make it go down, and that's gonna be the peak of your eyebrow. So this is just a robot face, so we are not really creating any details, the hair or anything. This is just a line to find out where the eyebrows are at. So that's just gonna be like this. So the next part is finally the nose. We're gonna create the nose. So the nose, of course, it's gonna be sitting in between the brow line to the bottom of the nose. So make sure that the nose, robot nose, is gonna be fitting into this little section over here in the middle. Nose, what you have to be careful is to create the top plane and the side plane and also the bottom plane. So we have three major planes for the nose. Basically what it looks like is like this. So we have the glabella, and we have the top of the nose. This is the top plane of the nose, and then we have the side planes. And the last part is the bottom plane. Side and the bottom. So from the front view, you can see pretty much everything. Depends on the angle of the head. If the person is looking down, then you wouldn't probably see the bottom of the nose. But if you have this like chin up angle a little bit, then you will probably see the bottom of the nose plane too. But for this one, we're just gonna create the top, and let's just do the side. Usually the top of the nose, this bridge of the nose, have the highlight on, and it really depends on where the light hits. You can create a nice shadow. So let's say that, for example, we have the light source hitting from this angle over here on the right hand side. This is the light source over here. So that means this side plane of the nose would receive more light, so you would just probably leave it highlighted. And maybe you would also leave the top of the nose, the bridge of the nose highlighted, or maybe the subtle shading. But the other side of the nose, this side of the nose, this wouldn't receive any light because the light source is on the other side. So this one is going to be a little more shaded. Find out which way the light source is hitting and which side of the nose would have more shading, so you can do this even tone practice. The next part is the eyeball. The eyeball, we're just gonna do the sphere, and that's it. Here's the proportion of the sideways around the eye area of the face. So when you create the ghosting circle like this, I've seen a lot of people doing the circle too big, too small. It doesn't make any sense. So if you want to just measure everything correctly, then here's something you can do. So usually when you look at this side line right on the eyes, the side of the head to the corner of the eye, that's 1/5. Corner of the eyes to the tear duct, 1/5. Tear duct to the tear duct, 1/5. Going back to the other eye, tear duct to the corner of the eye, that's 1/5. Corner of the eye to the side of the face, that's 1/5. And you can just divide this into 5 sections. So here, 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 here. Usually this is just 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. Like this. So you just divide it into 5 parts, and that's the generic proportion of the sideways around the eye area. When I look at my eyes, I feel like my tear duct to the tear duct length is a little bit wider than it's supposed to be. Another thing that you can do is to draw the vertical line right on the tear duct, and this tear duct line is supposed to line up on the wing of the nose right here. So I guess that I have a little bit of the wider nose, and that's why the spacing between the tear duct to the tear duct is also a little bit wider too. So that's something also you can measure. For the assignment, you don't have to draw these vertical lines, but you know, you can just eyeball it and find out if it's correct. So that's the size of the eyeball. The eyeball is just sitting in the eye socket, and when you draw the details of the eyes, you just want to, you know, make sure that the eye socket eyeball is the nice round sphere shape. And then you are going to create the orbit shadow, and this is the shadow that's created because we have we usually have the light source that coming from the sun or the sky or the ceiling light, and you can see the shadow created around this area. And if you do makeup, then maybe you have done a lot of like eye shadows in this area, and that's why that is to just exaggerate more of the skull shape. You can just create the lines from the end of the eyebrow and bring it down to the sphere over here, and this glabella to the tear duct right over here, And this section is gonna be just the even tone shading. And same thing, the end of the eyebrows to the corner of the eye, tilde up to the glabella, this section over here, this is the even tone. And the eyeball, you can just leave it blank just like this, because this is just a sphere that comes out from the eye socket, so it is a little bit brighter, and I'll show you the detail next week, so you can just leave this blank like this for today's assignment. And the next part is to create the lips. The lips, again, I'm gonna show the details next week, so I'm gonna just leave it really simple for today. Creating the lips is actually very simple. All you have to do is to create the upper lip a little bit shaded and the bottom lip brighter, like highlighted, and create the cast shadow underneath the bottom lip over here. So the shape of the lip, so we have the upper lip that looks kind of like this, and then you don't really have to create the bottom lip shading or the outline. All you have to do is to create the bottom cast shadow. So you can just create this little like moon shape like this of the bottom lip, and that's just gonna be the shape of the lip. And the reason why this is happening is because when you look at the profile view of the human head, we have the forehead like this, we have the nose, and then the lip would come out kind of like this, right? And then so that means we have this little triangle shape happening for the upper lip and lower lip. And when the light hits from the ceiling like this, this plane, the front plane of the lip, upper lip, wouldn't receive any light, so it's usually slightly darker, and the bottom plane of the lip would receive more light, kind of like this, so that just creates this like a lighter tone compared to the upper lip, and just simply creates the foam shadow on the bottom, kind of like this. So that's why we just leave the bottom lip brighter. So for the lip, you don't have to really do any details. What you want to do is to create this line in between the upper lip and lower lip, and that's just going to be usually another 1/3 of the bottom of the nose to the chin area. And go ahead and create the upper lip, make the even tone, and skip the lower lip. Go ahead and create the cast shadow of the lower lip. And the size of this entire lip, you can just draw another line from the eyeball right here. So this is actually the inner line of the iris, inner line of the iris, and then you can just draw the straight line, and that's gonna be the corner of the lip, kind of like this, like that. We are not doing the iris right now, but you can just kind of like eyeball it and find out, because sometimes people make the lips really small and it just looks really awkward. So make sure that it kind of comes from this almost the middle part of the sphere of the eyeball, and the corner of the lip should be lining up just like this. And yeah, so when you look at the old comic books that's like created with the ink, lots of characters have this upper lip darker and lower lip nothing, and it still looks like the human lips, and they're just also using the idea of this like light source and form shadow. So yeah, we are going to use the same idea and create the lip shape like this. The next part is the mandible line. So this is the jawline. You can see how the jawline creates this slight diagonal angle over here, and then this bottom diagonal angle creates this nice jawline and meets right in the middle to create this chin right over here. When you create the jawline, just start from the bottom of the nose line over here. So this is where the jawline starts. Diagonal angle, another diagonal angle, and the chin is actually a flat angle, so you would have one turn, two turn, and we have the bottom plane over here. Next part is the ears. So the location of the ears, you can just create this like dumpling shape for the ear for this drawing, but the location of the ear is going to be in between brow line and the bottom of the nose always. You can just take this space over here. So if the person is looking up, then the ear should be slightly lower if you just draw the line from, the eyebrow, bottom of the nose, and you just follow the sphere shape, and then the ear location should change too. So the next part is the side planes. So this part is actually the cheek area. The reason why this part is a little bit darker is because we have cheekbone that sticks out and makes the side of the face a little more shaded. These two bones, this is the cheekbone, and when you do your portrait drawing, usually this area is slightly highlighted. And when you look at the cheek over here, you can see how there's nothing really happening. It's just the teeth and the jawbone over here. That's why when you touch your cheek, it's really squishy. But when you touch your cheekbone area, it's a little firm. So that's why we just purposely make that side, the cheek area, a little more shaded. So to do that, we are going to use the first ghosting circle that we created. And this line over here, that's just gonna be your cheekbone. Just go ahead and swing and bring this down to the chin from the middle over here. And this side is gonna be the shading. And just like I was talking about it for the nose, if the light source is hitting from this side, then maybe this cheek is gonna be slightly lighter. I just made this tone slightly lighter. So now it's time to create the forehead much rounder and highlighted, and this flatter angle that we have right over here, we want to just shade it. And this is actually where your hair starts, right over here like this. So the temporal line, this side plane, is kind of important to find out where your hairline is on the sideways, and also where the shading of the forehead should be happening too. So now you're going to start with this corner of the hairline and the ghosting. Bring it down to the peak of the eyebrow. Bring it down to the peak of the eyebrow, and you just shade it right over here. I'm gonna make this side a little bit lighter because we have supposed to have the light source over here. So yeah, so now you can see how we have the highlight right on the forehead. We have the bridge of the nose highlighted, the cheekbone is highlighted, and also this mouth area, the teeth area of the front, this is also highlighted. So these are the sections that you should make it a little bit lighter. Well, depends on the light source, but these parts that we just did the even tone shading, that's the shading area that you're supposed to do for the assignment. Finally, I guess that we're just gonna create the neck. The neck is gonna be bigger than you think. Usually the neck shape would start from the bottom of the jawline, or for the male, usually it starts from the bottom of the ear. So I'm just gonna use this diagonal line of the jawline over here. Just please don't make it look like a lollipop. Like that. That doesn't really make any sense, but you can just finish up with the skull shape over here. Alright, so this is the front view of the robot head, and now I'm gonna continue this 45-degree angle of the head into the part 2 video.